Hey everybody, Shane here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Overwatch's Halloween Terror 2017 event going for the Unscathed achievement. This one's going to be available to do anytime Junkenstein Endless is going to be available in the arcade. This achievement is to get through a round of Junkenstein Endless without the door being damaged on hard difficulty or higher. Obviously, recommend doing this on hard. We're going to stick to our more damage-focused Junkenstein team in the form of McCree, Soldier 76, Torbjorn, and Zenyatta. You're going to want to go into this with a pretty decent understanding on how Junkenstein's Revenge is going to work. The difference with Endless is instead of one big timer with scripted events, you're going to be on a system of waves. Each wave is going to be a minute, and each wave is going to have its own scripted event. The mode is going to be endless, as the name suggests. However, in order to get the achievement, you need to survive one round without the door taking any damage, and that is going to translate to getting through the initial 12 waves. So for this, we are utilizing our faster, higher DPS class since we are more focused on dealing with the normal zombies rather than the bosses in this instance. So we are running Soldier 76 instead of Brigitte, who's going to have an easier time of taking out the normal enemies as well as the tires. Now, the most important thing that you want to keep in mind whenever playing Endless is the waves are going to be based on those 1 minute timers. And in other words, what that's going to mean is whatever scripted events that you don't take care of during its respective wave is going to stick around on the board and then intersect with the next wave. So if you leave a boss around for too long, what's going to happen is if you get too deep into the following wave and the bosses for that wave spawn, you're going to have to be dealing with multiple bosses on the board at the same time, which is going to be a lot for the team to handle. So even though the bosses aren't going to deal damage to the door specifically, you're going to probably be overwhelmed by the amount of bosses that are going to be on the board. Wave 2 is going to introduce us to the shock tires, which if you played Junkenstein's Revenge, you should probably know these are going to be the major damage dealers to the door. Every tire in Endless is going to appear from a random direction, so you definitely want to make sure you have the more rangy characters hang back and then call for the tires. Once they notice it, make sure you call out what lane they're coming from, and then the team is going to want to prioritize dealing with the tires as they are going to be the main door damage dealer. And in an achievement where we're trying to get through this without the door taking too much damage, you want to make sure you try to take out the tires as quickly as possible.
The ground shook as Dr. Junkenstein.
Once we get to Wave 3, we're going to have to deal with Junkenstein's monster. I am going to recommend the McCree player use his ultimate right here, as you do not want to take too long to fight these chunkier bosses. So make sure you try to stand back, make sure you use that ultimate. Be a little careful, the other players are definitely going to want to watch out for the one tire that appears during this wave. Hopefully the McCree hits his ultimate successfully, and then everyone else is going to want to gang up on the Roadhog to finish him off, and hopefully you should be able to defeat him and have some extra time to recover before going into the next wave. But you definitely don't want the Junkenstein monster to hang around for too long. Once we get to Wave 4, we're going to have our Dr. Junkenstein encounter. I'm going to recommend the McCree player hang back and pick off the normal enemies from a distance to try to get his ultimate back as soon as possible, as McCree's ultimate is always going to be a saving grace, as it is going to always be super useful when dealing with the bosses. So everyone else is going to want to try to throw everything they have to take out the Junkenstein as quickly as possible. Torbjorn should have moved his turret up to the cart at this point, and then you can have everyone throw out their slew of ultimates. Make sure you do not let the tire that spawns during this wave also catch you off guard, and the McCree player can definitely handle that as he is going to be hanging back. So the McCree player should also be taking notes on where the tire is going to be. Hopefully everyone else takes care of the Junkenstein as quickly as possible, and everyone else can get back to the door and then also help with watching out for that tire.
The Wanderers had beaten back Dr. Junkenstein's initial attacks, but their ordeal had only just begun. It's being destroyed!
Once you get to Wave 5, the first Reaper is going to pop up of the two that appear. Once the first Reaper drops down, make sure the entire team isn't going to be too distracted, as there's going to be a shock tire that shows up shortly thereafter. Make sure you try to spot that and then take it out as quickly as possible, and then everyone can then jump on the Reaper. Remember to be careful of Reaper. Make sure you try to take the first one out before he gets his 4 phases off. That way he doesn't get his ultimate. The second one should come flying in shortly thereafter. Hopefully you aren't dealing with both of them at the same time. But a good Torbjorn ultimate in front of the door should also help against the zombies, and then you should be able to finish them off super quickly. I don't recommend the McCree player waste his ultimate on the 2 Reapers unless you are in a really bad pinch, but you should be able to manage both of them a-okay.
The air became charged with the arcade as the summoner appeared in their midst.
Wave 6 is going to happen, and then you're going to have to deal with the Symmetra. If the McCree player is quick, he can use his ultimate to take her out before she puts up her barrier. If not, it's going to be really useful that the Torbjorn had his turret placed on the overturned cart. That way the Symmetra is going to be distracted. While she is preoccupied, you definitely want to have one player hang back and then watch out for the 3 tires that spawn in this wave, and then everyone else is going to want to pick off the Symmetra from far away. Make sure no one leaves the door to engage the Symmetra, as the turret is going to keep her pretty preoccupied for the foreseeable future. Make sure everyone focuses on the 3 tires, and as soon as you count out and blow up all 3 tires, then everyone should turn their attention on the Symmetra. So make sure you do keep that in mind. Make sure you use McCree's stun grenade. That's going to be very useful in a pinch, especially in combination with Torbjorn's ultimate, and then make sure everyone gets back to their spots once she's taken care of.
I have beat ones for you.
Once we get to Wave 7, this is going to be one of the tougher parts of the run, as we're going to have to deal with 2 Junkenstein's monsters right here. Even though it's going to be very tempting for the McCree player to use their ultimate to take care of either one or both, they definitely want to save it for Wave 8, as Wave 8 is going to be the boss rush. So make sure you try to rely on the other players if you are the McCree player in this instance. Make sure you try to hold the door, and your goal is to try to get your ultimate back and then prepare it for the next wave. So the team is definitely going to have to carry the burden of the load here when dealing with the monsters. So make sure you try to be a little careful and make sure you keep up on that door defense. The McCree player is definitely going to want to be the one that manages the regular enemies, especially those zombideers, as they are going to be the major damage dealers. So make sure you try to stay far back and then trust that your team can deal with the 2 Roadhogs a-okay. You can come in and help in case the Roadhog is throwing off his ultimate. A good stun grenade is going to always be useful. But the combination of Zenyatta's Orb of Discords and Soldier 76 and Torbjorn's ultimates along with the turret should be more than enough to take care of those bosses. Once you get into Wave 8, the McCree player is going to want to take position on the left lane, and then they're going to want to try to get the high ground, try to fit everyone within their ultimate, and then hopefully throw it off successfully. Make sure the rest of the team is watching the McCree player's back and taking out any of the Zombideers, as a Zombideer blast is going to cancel out a McCree ultimate if not careful. So everyone's going to definitely want to watch the McCree player on the left's back. Hopefully you do get a successful ultimate off with the McCree player. That should make taking out all of the bosses super swiftly. If not, the wave isn't going to give you a ton of time to deal with them, especially if the Mercy is still on the board. So make sure you do keep those things in mind. McCree is going to be a very useful character when dealing with multiple bosses.
The relentless pace of Dr. Junkenstein's advance slowed. But the worst was yet to come.
Wave 9 is going to be triple Reapers, so again, the McCree player is going to want to hang back and deal with the normal enemies to try to get his ultimate back, and then everyone else is going to try to take out the Reapers as swiftly as possible. The McCree player is also going to be the one that looks out for the tire, so make sure you call that out and everyone takes care of the 1 tire that spawns, and then everyone can turn their focus onto the Reapers. Try your best not to have the Reapers bunch up. Again, it's going to be very hard to keep track of which Reaper is closest to his ultimate. The Torbjorn ultimate is going to be a must for protecting that door, but make sure you do not let the normal zombies start making a push, and make sure the McCree player is doing a really good job of thinning out the Zombardiers. A Zenyatta ultimate is going to be very helpful here, but try your best to get through the triple Reapers, as they are going to give you a ton of trouble. Not too bad on this difficulty, so make sure you try your best to get through that, and then we're going to move on to wave number 10. We're going to have a double Symmetra and then 3 tires. Again, the Torbjorn turret is going to help distract the Symmetras at this point, so everyone else is going to want to pull back and then be on the lookout for those tires. So we are going to have 3 to deal with, so try your best to take care of them while the Symmetra is going to be preoccupied. So make sure you try to spot them and then call them out and then take them out. Once you get all 3, it's then time to turn your attention to the Symmetra. Unfortunately, the second one probably isn't going to be too distracted, as the Torbjorn turret is probably going to go down, so you're going to have to transition from the tires back to the Symmetras as quickly as possible, as they are going to start rushing the door. Again, a good Torbjorn ultimate is going to be very useful for cleaning up any stragglers along the door, and then make sure everyone rebounds as best they can. McCree's stun grenades are going to be very helpful in this regard, and then hopefully everyone can bounce back, and then hopefully you have a little bit of time to thin out the regular zombies before the next wave.
Dr. Junkenstein was not yet finished. His
Wave 11, the penultimate wave, we're going to be dealing with 2 Roadhogs. Again, the McCree player is going to want to hang back and then work on the normal enemies. Definitely prioritize the Zombardiers. You can come in to help out with the Roadhog if you need to stun grenade him, as that is going to be useful. But make sure you trust your team in order to kill him with Zenyatta's Orb of Discords and the combined ultimates of Torbjorn and Soldier 76. The McCree player is also going to be the one that wants to keep an eye out for the 1 tire that appears, so make sure McCree doesn't overextend when trying to kill the normal enemies. So McCree is definitely going to want to hang back, and then everyone else is going to want to work on the Roadhog and try to resist the urge of using McCree's ultimate here, as you are going to save it for the last wave. Alright, 12th and final wave. Remember, the most important thing here is the bosses aren't going to be able to deal any damage to the door, so your priority is going to be the normal enemies. McCree, if he can get a good spot, should use his ultimate right here. Hopefully you should take out the Mercy. You can take out the bosses if you want to, but the name of the game is to try to survive, and of course for this achievement, you are trying to hold the door. So make sure everyone is going to be in front of the door as possible. There is going to be 2 tires that appear, which is another reason the McCree player wants to hang back instead of going to his spot right away. So make sure you do keep that in mind. Make sure you watch out for those 2 tires. If you can take them out, you should be pretty much in the clear, as long as you have a few people alive who can hold that door, primarily from the left lane, as that's where the majority of the normal zombies are going to come in. But hopefully you should be able to stick things out for the last few seconds or so. But remember, make sure you don't get too overly focused on the bosses. So do your best to run the clock out, and hopefully if you manage to do this without the door taking a scratch, once you start the bonus waves, you should be good for this particular achievement. 15 gamer score for this one, and that's all there is to it.